Florida State has a massive recruiting weekend when they take on the number 4 Clemson Tigers in Tallahassee at Doak Campbell Stadium. I'm going to talk about some of those visitors as well as what the outlook for the game is from a recruiting perspective with On3's Josh Newberg. Hey guys, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button underneath, thumbs up the video, and comment with the recruit that you're most excited to have on campus this weekend. We've got a ticket giveaway going at patreon.com/DFNS. Go there, you can learn more about it if you'd like to win tickets to the FSU Clemson game. Without further ado, Josh Newberg. All right, we are back with Josh Newberg On3's Josh Newberg. How you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm great, man. Good to be here. Long day at work, but let's talk some recruiting.
Here I got you up at late at night. This is coming out in the morning, but thanks for hanging out tonight. You and Chad chatted about Keldrick Falk, who was supposed to go to Tennessee. Looks like Florida State may have had some influence, but looks like he's going to be on campus for the FSU Clemson game. How big of a problem would that have been if he went to Tennessee? And then how big of a win is it for Florida State to get him to come?
Yeah, it was reported last Friday on VolQuest on the On3 network that Keldrick Falk, 4-star edge rusher out of the state of Alabama, longtime Florida State commitment, was going to take an official visit to Tennessee. And his recruitment to Tennessee's kind of been hot and cold. Like when he committed to Florida State, it seemed like Tennessee was a distant second and maybe a program that wouldn't even come back around to recruit him. But Tennessee got off to a great start. They have Alabama coming to Knoxville this weekend. And on Friday, it seemed like Keldrick Falk was going to be in attendance on an official visit. Tennessee obviously has a big visit weekend. Samuel Mpimba, 5-star edge out of IMG, is going to be there. David Hobbs, 5-star defensive lineman, is going to be there, and they were going to bring in Keldrick Falk on an official. By Monday, let's just say the Florida State staff put the kibosh on that, and the visit was off, and Keldrick Falk is now going to be in Tallahassee for the Clemson game. It seemed really weird for me if Keldrick Falk did take that visit to go to Tennessee, Alabama for a team that finished in your top group. I don't know if Tennessee was number 2, but they finished in his top group, and to not be in Tallahassee for the biggest, non-in-state rivalry game on the schedule, one of the biggest home games of the year, if not the biggest home game of the year. It seemed a little bit weird if that was going to take place. Obviously, the FSU staff got to him, and he's going to be in Tallahassee this weekend. So I would say problem averted. I wouldn't really put him on flip watch at Tennessee. I think Tennessee still had some ground to gain, but it's one of those games where, like, if you're in Neyland Stadium for Tennessee beating Alabama, that's going to immediately put you in the race for Keldrick Falk. So that's just, it's a good thing that they're going to avoid that. Whatever happens in Doak, he's not going to be in Neyland Stadium.
Similar situation, Roderick Kearney, offensive lineman who has flirted with Florida a little bit, been on a couple of visits there, was reported to be expected there by a couple of outlets. Those reports have been kind of retracted, and Florida State sources have kind of said that he will be in Tallahassee for the game this weekend. Do you have thoughts on the Kearney situation? He seems to continue to flirt with Florida, and the Noles are using an official visit to get him to come and visit for the game this weekend.
Yeah, they're pulling out their ace. You get one of these cards to play, and they're going to play it here in mid-October. I feel kind of differently about Roderick Kearney and the fact that he's coming in. I'm not as in touch with all this stuff as like Zach and some of these guys are, but something's up with this Kearney recruitment. Just the whole way he's handled it, even from when he committed to FSU and publicly, took shots at the UF coaching staff.
Sure.
And then 3-4 weeks later, he's on the sidelines in Gainesville for a game. And, he's going back and forth, and Florida State had to pull the official visit card to get him on campus this weekend. Obviously, it's good. He's going to be there. You know, Noles win. Everything's great. Maybe this never comes around again, but something tells me it will. And you know, his flirtation with Florida seems like it's not going to stop regardless of what happens this weekend. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. But I feel like Faulk is going to be is a lot more solid than Kearney is at this point.
I know they're very different situations, but what does it say about Mike Norvell and the staff that they're able to kind of shut down two recruitments to big SEC programs that have massive games of their own this weekend?
It's good. It's good till it's not. Like I've covered losing seasons at Florida State, and I know how it goes with these recruits and what they say. It's all good until it's not. So like last year, you know, I talked a lot about like what's the breaking point? Because the four losses to start last season, it didn't break the class. I think they had one decommitment. So, but there is a breaking point. Like Florida State, we know if Florida State would have won 7 games compared to 5, the recruiting class looks different last year. So it's always going to be good until it's not. With Mike Norvell going into year 3, or this is year 3, going into year 4, because this is the signing class that'll take him into year 4. There has to be some more proof of concept. Like there's not going to be a free pass if this team wins 6 games or if this team wins 5 games. Like there's going to come a breaking point. But until then, TJ, it's all good until it ain't.
Another offensive lineman, DJ Chester. You guys have him at over 90% to LSU right now, a top 130 kid according to the On3 rankings. He's going to be visiting Tallahassee this weekend. Is this one that Alex Atkins might be able to steal?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, I think they got a good shot at him. But you just got to keep recruiting talented, athletic big men, because like we just talked about, if Roderick Kearney's out, bring in another one. Like it's got to be constant. And Florida State, you know, needs tackles, but in the meantime, you know, guards just pile them up.
Can't get too many offensive linemen with our troubles even into this season with injuries and such. Hakeem visiting. He visited Miami last week, which their offense did look a little bit better. You know, they lost the game to UNC, but the offense looked a lot better this week as opposed to against Middle Tennessee State. He visited Miami last week, and he'll be in Tallahassee. A kid that is certainly open to still being recruited, but I guess it's good to get him on campus for some of these big games and hopefully again for the Florida game later. But thoughts around Hakeem Williams?
I'm not, they're going to clip this. I'm not too concerned about Miami. But in all seriousness, I think Hakeem's is Florida State's to lose, meaning it's in Florida State's hands. Like as long as they don't piss down their leg the rest of the year, I think there's a very good chance they sign Hakeem Williams. I think if they win 6 games, if they only win 7 games, you might open the door for another team. And the team I'd watch for is Texas A&M. Hakeem Williams has made it out there a couple times, and they're going to still recruit him. You know, Jimbo likes to recruit the South Florida area. He definitely is in on Hakeem before he committed to Florida State. So I would watch for Texas A&M, but I think that at least in this recruitment, Florida State controls their own destiny on the football field.
Ruben Bain released a top 6 tonight, and Florida State was in that. He's also visiting the Noles on an unofficial visit for the game this weekend. Is there a chance that they are, you know, what? Maybe let's back that up. What are their chances to land that prospect?
I think they're pretty good right now. I think it probably of those top 10 that he dropped, I would probably put Florida State, Auburn, Miami, Alabama, maybe, you know, just depending on if they fill up and if they get Keon Keeley and how the upper tier goes. I don't know if Alabama will be involved, but Ruben Bain is almost a must get for Florida State because he's one of the best pass rushers available for them. He's an in-state prospect. And we saw what happened last year when we kind of said, like, you know, oh, Marvin Jones Jr. went somewhere else, you know. Well, look at Florida State's pass rush. Like, they need all the help they can get. They need all the big active bodies they can get. And I think Ruben Bain is a monster. I think he's going to be highly productive on the next level. He's doing it down in Miami. His stock is only on the rise when it comes to college programs after viewing his high school tape his senior year. I think it's incredibly important. Florida State has a really good defensive end class, but we just talked about Keldrick Falk, maybe flirting with Tennessee a little bit. I don't think this is a time where Florida State can afford to let off the gas at a position of need like edge rusher.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get one of these guys out of the high school ranks as opposed to going and getting one and done guys that are going to the
Living
NFL.
A paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah,
it's a risky life.
So they've done it well for 2 years, but it'd be nice to have a little bit of security.
We've all done it well at times. It's just not like a long-term solution.
How do you halfway through the year, 4-2, probably dropped a game against NC State that you weren't supposed to. How do you kind of, tough one against Clemson this weekend coming up, then 5 winnable games after that, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Louisiana, Miami, and Florida. How do you see the Noles season finishing up? And are they able to stay in that 15-ish range in the composite rankings?
Yeah, I think 7 to 8 wins puts you around where you're supposed to be in the 15 range. Florida State always has the ability to recruit above that. Last year was a great example of a staff that, really had a shot to land a class that they didn't deserve. And when I say deserve, I just mean record-wise. Like a 5-win team does not deserve to be knocking on the door of a top 10 class. If they hold on to Travis Hunter, if they land one of, Wesley Bissainthe or Marvin Jones Jr. or something like that, you're talking about like a number 11, number 12, number 10 class, somewhere in that range. And that's way above where they should have been. If this year Florida State finishes, with 7 wins, 8 wins, I think that they'll be somewhere on the north or south side of 15. I think if it's a 7-win, you could be 15 to 18. If it's an 8-win team, you could be 15 to maybe 12. I can't say that this staff can really recruit way above their record. They can do a little bit better than they're supposed to. But we saw last year, kind of those elite guys slip away. I think if Florida State's going to get in the conversation for more elite prospects this year, we got to see them go on a run, and it's got to start against Clemson this weekend.
How much of an impact, and I know what the answer is, but how much of an impact would pulling off the upset with all these guys in town with a full Doak Campbell Stadium mean for their class?
I think it'd be really big, just not because it's like a one big win, but like you stack this on top of the LSU win. You stack this on top of, Louisville on the road, but mainly the LSU win. Now you got a win against a top 5 team at home against Clemson in front of all these recruits. I think it's important. And we also know that this team isn't playing with such rapid shifts in their performance. Like if they beat Clemson, then they're probably going to continue on this plane that they're on. We don't see the herky-jerky ups and downs that we saw in at least in year 1. And then kind of like toward the end of last season is when this team has become much more consistent. And I think a win against Clemson, I don't think that'll be lost on this team. I think that they'll take that and compound performances after that. Now, if they go out and it's an embarrassing loss and this thing's into a full-blown 3-game losing streak, then all bets are off. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think we've kind of moved past the big embarrassing blowouts.
Do you have a pick for this game this weekend?
I came on your space last week and I picked NC State because I said Florida State's fully capable of winning this game, but I think they're going to have to elevate their play at key levels, mainly offensive line, the levels that we all talk about, defensive line. And they weren't able to, whether that be attrition, whether that be just, mental lapses, whatever, they weren't able to. I don't think that Florida State's going to beat Clemson. Of course, I think I can see a way that they will beat Clemson. In that last game, I didn't see them rise to the occasion enough at those key positions that I had talked about. And a lot of that is due to injury and guys that just are not available. We can circle back and talk about recruiting and why there's not quality depth, but there's just not quality depth. Like you're losing a lot when you move on from some of these guys. So I think Clemson wins this one. I believe it'll be close, but if Florida State plays out of their minds in a few key positions, I think that they can win this game.
Josh Newberg of On3. Where can people find you? Where can they follow your work? Where can they get more of your content?
Yeah, I changed my Twitter handle. It's @Josh_Newberg. There's no more 247.
You're not a company man anymore. You're just Josh Newberg.
Yeah, at this point, I made my Twitter in 2010 when I started there, and I put it in there. I didn't know Twitter would be a whole big thing. So now it's just @Josh_Newberg. But go subscribe to the On3 YouTube page. We do a lot of content. I put out a show every Monday and Thursday, also some other videos. But go subscribe there. We got a lot of stuff cooking.
Good stuff. Thank you, Josh, for hanging out. I appreciate you, my man.
All right. See you, TJ.